All right, welcome everyone. Grand Rising. Welcome back to our another sunny Sunday of the One Great I Am Awakening. I'm Chris Taylor, one of your hosts, and with me is my partner in spirit. And in mind, right there he is, Mr. Gregory Isaac Thomas. Sir T, are you see?
Greetings, yes, man, it is well. Uh, which way do I want to say this? On the topic we're going to have this morning, what I want us to walk away from with this circus
Mm-hmm.
is to consciously make the unconscious part of our experience conscious. Was that a tongue twister?
Yeah, yeah, man.
I want us to consciously make the unconscious part of our existence conscious. I know that there are things that happens in our world subconsciously or unconsciously. Reverend I just highlighted it. But
Mm-hmm.
as a awakening beings, the pinnacle of your experience, what you call it, Sir Chris, competent,
Unconscious,
what is it?
unconscious
Unconscious,
competence.
unconscious competence. Good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. Your intent should be to consciously make the unconscious part of your experience conscious.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that's when you know yourself.
Yeah.
You don't know yourself if you're not conscious of even the unconscious things that are going on. When you know yourself, you become conscious of even the unconscious. And that's our intent. That's why we come here every morning. We're sharpening our tools.
Mm-hmm.
You're here to sharpen that tool to the point where the unconscious becomes conscious. Happens over a period of time. I don't know how long the period of time. For some man, it might be faster than some. It'll take a long time for me, but we know me I get there. All
uh,
right, Sir Chris.
all right, thank you for that mention, Sir T. Yeah, part of it is we have a lot of subconscious programming for a long time, longer than we've been practicing this part of our awareness. So clearly, it's a lot of undressing that we have to do. As many layers like an onion that we're peeling off every Sunday that we come here. So that's depending on how often you do it, the intensity in which you do it, or the craving in which you desire it. That's how soon it comes. Everything is subjective. There's nothing that is what do I call it now? Um, one size fits all. Everybody, return or accepts, one at a time, the change in consciousness. So, but either way, that's why we continue to come here every Sunday to, as I say, continue to sharpen our tool. That tool we're talking about here is our imagination, our awareness of being, you know, and no one can do it for you but yourself, right? Your imagination is your personal savior. You understand? Personal,
But Sir
you can
Chris,
feel. Yes.
what I'm also, you know, during this past week, what my studies, and when I say studies, when we study, we're not just studying what's written in a book, whether the book was written by Neville Goddard or Alan Watts, or the book was written by God, the Bible, as them. When we study, we're not talking about just reviewing what is written in our book. When you're studying yourself, because it is yourself that's gonna confirm whether what's written in the book or what you hear on the tape is
Yes.
accurate.
Hmm.
If what you read in the book or what you will listen to on the tape does not measure up with what life has shown you, then you have to stick with the life experience and forget about the book or the tape. So when I did in my studies this week, self-study, of course with the assistance of book and tape, but in my self-study, what I've learned is that even the program the unconscious program that's running in the background of our world. I am now coming to understand that the program should not be labeled as evil, and you should not be running away from the program, meaning denouncing the program. The program is a part of you. It's what's called the darkness. But without the darkness, you would not be able to acknowledge the light.
Mm-hmm.
The program is called your ego. You can call it the darkness, you can call it a program, you can call it the shadow, whichever it is. So that's your ego, is the darkness. Yourself is the light. But without the darkness, without the ego, you would never find yourself.
Mm.
Without the presence of the ego, you would never find yourself. All we've been doing for most of our lives is living as an ego being, because we weren't aware of a self, that there is a self, that there is an inner self. We weren't aware of that. All we were aware of is the ego, because the ego comes first. Remember, the first man is of the earth, earth is the second man is a lad from heaven. The ego comes first. But without the ego, you would never find yourself.
Yeah.
If the prodigal son never left home and go out or experience him experience, he would never find himself. He would have just sit down up on daddy yard, on daddy money, and don't even know where daddy get the money from, or what it is like to get your own money.
Yeah.
He would never find himself if he never go face the darkness. So the ego, the subconscious programming, the indoctrination, the ill temper, the whatever has been your flaws, the addictions, the womanizing, the manizing for the woman, them whatever it is about yourself that you are not approving of, you will never grow past that until you accept it as being a part of yourself. In other words, for you to tame in the wild animal, you have to first get the wild animal to come to you freely. And then you're taming it. You're making a disciple. You're disciplining a part of you that is a part of you, whether you want to accept it or not. So even the darkness, the unconscious indoctrination that runs in the background of your mind, before you can tame in that and calm that and discipline that, you have to first stop despising it, accept it as being a part of you. It's a part of the grand inner self. The inner self comprises of everything. Because the inner, see, the thing about it, you see the ego that you are despising, it's not the inner self, it's not the self that is despising the ego, It is your ego self that is now learning of the inner self and then turning around and despising the ego self. So it is you hating on your own self, and that's why you can't. When you find out, now that you've learned that there is an ego who is the enemy within, there's an ego which is truly the enemy within. It is what has kept you going around the wilderness for 40 years. But now that you found him, you find out him a who. You don't despise him, you don't cast him away because you can't do without him. Every time you catch yourself operating in your ego, wanting to go back to the womanizing, the manizing, the addictions, the ill temper, the egotistic. Whenever time you catch yourself in that, all you need to do is just laugh. Why do you laugh? Because you found the joker in the card pack. You find the joker. So every time the joker pop up, you just see it as a joke and laugh. Don't despise it. Because the card pack can't run without the joker. Every time you see it pop up, you just bow your head and laugh. Don't chase it away. Because if you chase it away, you will never discipline it. And if you chase it away, believe it or not, it's coming back. You have nowhere to go. It's your ego and somebody else's ego. It's yours. So you don't know where else to go. It will always come back to you. You can't do without it. So do not despise the unconscious. Become conscious of it. So, Chris.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that. Sir T, you're absolutely right. The ego is the persona, the personality. But as we've learned, the word person, which is the Anglicized version of persona, French or Latin, just means a mask. And we're just playing a part. We're all actors in the game of life, as Florence Skin mentions, Shin mentions. And we're just playing a particular personality. And like in a movie, as you and I have discussed at times, 30, we don't despise the actors who plays their role in a movie, whether it be good or evil or otherwise. We know them for their movie roles, that is just a role that they're playing, but in their personal lives, they're someone different, someone that we respect and look up to and love. So we don't hold them to the part that they play. Though some of them might uh, play the part so well, you might find yourself associating them to that personality or that acting quality.
Like, like Lawrence Fishburne, I think a lot of females
Yeah.
despise Fishburne because of the part he played in Tina Turner movie, What Love Got to Do.
Exactly. Yeah.
When I see him all night marketplace and hate him, the woman would have seen my one pit for them.
Yeah.
Playing
Exactly.
a, I was just playing a part. That's how you should see your ego.
Yeah.
Just see your ego as Lawrence Fishburne playing Ike. You know, I think people hate Lawrence Fishburne more than how they hate Ike. Because they don't know Ike. They don't know Ike Turner. That Lawrence,
Yeah. He played it so well. He passed the test of being Ike Turner. He could pass for Ike Turner, you know, because he played so well. And that's what we're talking about here. That no matter what we're doing, we are playing a part, we're playing a role. And as I mentioned, certainly the idea is to, and as mentioned in scripture and the New Testament primarily, is to discipline our ego, discipline our persona, our personality, the mask, the person. Discipline that side of you which is necessary. Can't live without the ego, can't do without it because that part of you is what you use to desire, to design, to pay attention to things, but it's just the quality in which you do it that makes a difference. So you need it. And speaking of that, today we're going to address it even some more in our message, our lesson for today, that you live and create from three dimensions simultaneously. You live and create from three dimensions or dimensions simultaneously. And we're going to talk about one of those dimensions, which is the ego self, or where the ego resides, but it is necessary. Serti, you're going to say something? Serti?
oh no, no, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, okay. All
I'm
right,
gonna
guys.
give me about 10 or so minutes, 15 minutes. I have to send some reports in before I'm able to fully give my attention to the class here. But I'm listening, all right?
All right, no worries, no worries. All right, so that said, let's go ahead and play this video. We're going to be, um, you know, just basically covering some of the mentions on the video. It's a video that is AI, but it is never, um, full of Neville's lessons or teachings, and it's very, very potent tape. So I want you guys to listen to it keenly. But I'll be coming back and forth to, basically just break down some of what is going to be mentioned on the video itself. Okay. So let's get to it. And I'll be back momentarily to um, give my, let's see, wait there. There it is. And this tape is titled Stop Believing 3D. All right. Stop believing 3D. Stop trusting your eyes. Reality changes when you do this, that they're going to be talking about here. So let's take a listen and we'll come right back to clarify our findings.
You are not struggling because life is against you. You are struggling because you are loyal to appearances. What you call reality is nothing more than yesterday's imagination, hardened into fact. The moment you stop fighting the 3D and move within, you enter the only world where creation actually happens. Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to take you on a journey beyond the physical world you think is real. I am going to show you a dimension that exists right now, in this very moment, where every version of your life already exists in perfect completion. This dimension is not somewhere far away. It is not in some distant galaxy or alternate universe. It is here now, accessible to you this very instant. And once you learn to enter this dimension and operate from it, manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable and instantaneous. I call this dimension the 5D world, the dimension of infinite possibilities. And tonight you will learn not only that it exists, but how to consciously enter it, navigate it, and bring back from it anything you desire into your physical reality. But I must warn you, what I am about to teach you will shatter everything you thought you knew about reality, time, space, and your own power as a conscious creator. Are you ready to leave behind the limitations of the 3D world and step into the infinite? Then let us begin. Now, before we can understand the 5D world, you must first understand the prison that most people live in without even knowing it. This prison has 3 dimensions, and it is so convincing, so seemingly solid, that billions of people never even question its walls. The first dimension is the dimension of physical form. This is the world of matter, of solid objects, of bodies and buildings, and all the things you can touch with your hands. Most people believe this is the only real dimension, that what you can see and touch is all that exists. The second dimension is the dimension of linear time. In this dimension, time moves in only one direction, from past through present to future. You believe you are trapped in this timeline, that yesterday is gone forever and tomorrow has not yet arrived. You believe you must wait for things to happen, that change takes time, that your past determines your future. The third dimension is the dimension of apparent causation. In this dimension, things seem to happen because of external causes. You are poor because of the economy. You are sick because of genetics. You are alone because you have not met the right person. Everything appears to be caused by something outside of you. These 3 dimensions together create what I call the 3D world. And in the 3D world, you are powerless. You are a victim of circumstances. You are subject to the laws of physics, the passage of time, and the actions of other people. You are trapped, limited, and struggling. But here is the truth that will set you free. The 3D world is not the primary reality. It is the shadow, the reflection, the effect. It is what appears when you do not know about the higher dimensions. Now, between the 3D world of physical limitation and the 5D world of infinite possibility lies a bridge. This bridge is what I call the 4D world, the dimension of imagination. In the 4D world, you are no longer bound by physical form. You can be anywhere, be anyone, have anything in an instant. In your imagination, you can be wealthy, you can be loved, you can experience any version of reality you choose. Most people visit the 4D world constantly, but they dismiss it as just imagination, as fantasy, as unreal. They think that their nighttime dreams and their daydreams are meaningless, that only the solid 3D world is real. But I tell you, the 4D world is more real than the 3D world, because the 4D world is where creation happens. Everything that exists in the 3D world was first created in the 4D world of imagination. The chair you sit in, the building you occupy, the house you live in, all of it existed first as imagination before it became physical form. Someone imagined it, and then the 3D world materialized it. But here is what most people do not understand. The 4D world is not just a place to daydream. It is the creative workshop where you can consciously design your reality before it appears in the 3D world. When you learn to use the 4D world intentionally, when you understand that your imagination is not fantasy, but the actual mechanism of creation, you begin to have power over your 3D circumstances. But even the 4D world is not the ultimate reality. Beyond the 4D world of imagination lies something far more profound, far more powerful. This is the 5D world, the dimension where all possibilities exist simultaneously in eternal completion. The 5D world is unlike anything you have experienced in the 3D or 4D realms. In the 5D world, there is no time. There is no space. There is no becoming, only being. There is no future to wait for, no past to regret. There is only the eternal now, where all things already are. In the 5D world, every possible version of your life exists right now. The wealthy version of you is there. The healthy version of you is there. The loved, successful, fulfilled version of you is there. Not as potential, not as possibility, but as already accomplished reality. Think of the 5D world like a vast library containing every book that could ever be written. Every story, every outcome, every version of your life is a book on the shelf, complete and finished. You are not writing these books. They already exist. Your job is simply to select which book you will read, which reality you will experience. In the 3D world, you believe you must create your desires, that you must work to bring them into existence. In the 4D world, you use imagination to design what you want. But in the 5D world, you simply recognize that what you desire already exists in perfect completion.
Yeah, man, this is absolutely an incredible tip, incredible information here. So I hope you guys are documenting this and taking it in. Last week we did, that the conscious mind is the measurement by which our consciousness obeys. Okay, the consciousness we were speaking of there is primarily, this 5D world, or all that there is, where everything lives, moves, and have its being. But you see, the conscious mind is the one that is the part of consciousness that desired. So all of consciousness is what was just mentioned here. 3 dimensions: the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D. As we're titled today, you live and create from 3 dimensions simultaneously, meaning all at the same time. We're existing in all 3 dimensions, all at the same time. And the only difference is that most of us are not aware of that. We're only aware of the 3 dimension, or the third dimension. That is our issue. And that's the first thing that the video mentioned here, that we should leave behind the 3-dimensional world. Why? Because it's just a shadow. It's just the projection of a higher dimension. Okay? He states here that the physical form of the world is one aspect of the 3 dimension. That's one aspect of where we live. We can see with our eyes, feel with our feet, our hands. We can smell, we can hear, we can also taste. We can exercise all 5 senses in this world. We are sure of it, that it exists. The next thing is time. And time is linear in this dimension, meaning that we're in the year 2026. We're not in the year 2000 anymore. You understand? That passed already. So we're going from past, present, future in that sense, in the timeline. It's linear. It's not circular. So we see it like that and we think time is linear. Time does not, we don't have any control over our past. As we've done a video, or a lesson before on revising or revision to state that time is not linear. Our time does not even exist. Everything is an eternal no. All right. So keep that in mind. So time is linear on this plane that we can see based on how we document things. It really is not, but this is just how we have done it to keep track of our past, our present, and the future, and all these different things. It's just for measurement purposes. But we live in this time zone or timeline, and we think that this is it. And then thirdly, we associate everything that's going on in this world with external causes, like something other than ourselves. We don't know or did not know that we were the cause of the phenomena of life. We being consciousness. Consciousness is the only reality, and consciousness is the cause of the phenomena of life. But we associate ourselves with this three-dimensional body, okay? We think that this is just who we are, the mask, the personality, the persona. We think this is just where it stops. We are not conscious of the self, the inner man, you know? And so our five senses fools us or traps us here. So this is a self-imprisoned prison. You understand? We have imprisoned ourselves here by ourselves, literally. And so this is where we think is the only dimension that exists. Unbeknownst to us, we also have a fourth and fifth dimension in which we coexist, all at the same time while we are here on this plane. This plane that we're on is simply the projection or the shadow or the reflection of the higher dimensions in which we live, wherein our true self really, really exists. This is just a plane where it is a screen. Like Never has a video that's called "The World is a Screen," or you know, we're just the world is a stage. We're just on the stage playing our many different roles, you know, as actors. But unlike movies, where we purposely are playing a role, this role is so organic. We don't know that we're playing a role. We don't know that it's an act. We don't know that it's just another level of our dimensional self. We think that this is all that there is. So that's why when people are born and when people die, we think that this is all that there is, and we associate, you know, death with finality, and being born, we associate that we've been born, or the first time that we've ever been born, the first time we've ever come here, not realizing that this has always been. You know, this is who we have always been, you know, coming and going into this world, and playing these many different you know, personalities, sexes, you name it. Now we're coming to the realization that it's more than just that. Now, once we realize that, we now have taken back our power, our control of our destiny, of how our life unfolds going forward. We no longer live by fate, F-A-T-E. We live by faith. Faith. You understand? We associate what we um, achieve going forward based on our faith, because by faith was this world framed, and by faith your world is framed. Sir T, I see you had your hand up.
Yes, sir, Chris. Something you mentioned now about the coming and going, that we've always been coming and going
Mhm.
throughout disappearance. When I said, I mean this, not disappear, this appearance that
Mhm.
we have here right now. It's not your first and only appearance. You want to lighten it onto the seasons. Summer come this year. After summer comes fall. After fall comes winter. After winter comes spring. Then summer again.
Mm.
The summer that came last year is not identical to the one that come back this year. Some
No.
hotter, some little bit not as hot, but it's still summer. It's the same thing with you as a ego being. When you leave and you return, that's why you don't remember yourself when you come back. Because you're not exactly like the last time you were here. Just like how when summer come back, it's not the same as last year summer.
Exactly.
Now, and another thing that you said that I want to highlight is the actor. If you continue to believe that you are the person that you're acting, Chris Taylor,
Mhm.
whatever, if you continue to accept that that's who you are, then you will never find yourself. You consider what would happen if Lawrence Fishburne playing his role in the Tina Turner show. Could you imagine what would have happened if at the time when he did a cast the position as Ike Turner, if when him guy him yard that evening, he did not remember that he's not Ike Turner, he's Lawrence Fishburne and guy him yard act like Ike. You wife that let him talk. So yeah, remember, even though he's acting part so well, he has to remember that that's not him. That's a role that he's acting. That's how we here in your to realize that that's not you. That's a role that you're acting. That you will never find yourself if you continue to think that the actor is you. You have to relinquish that part of your ego,
Mm.
knowing that the actor is not you. If you forget that, then you're gonna forget yourself. And if you forget yourself, then you're going against your very purpose on the earth. Your only purpose on the earth is to remember yourself. You came here forgetting yourself. The opposite of forget is to remember. No matter where people gonna tell you that this is the purpose of man and God have a special plan and a special purpose. No, there is no special purpose for nobody. Nobody's purpose is different from anybody else's. Everybody's purpose runs common to the one thing that we were all born with, which is a state of forgetfulness. We were all born in a state of forgetfulness, and every single person's purpose is the same: to remember. To remember who? The one you forgot. Who do you forget? Yourself.
Mm.
So that's what that's what that is it primarily. And the one thing that stands in the way of you remembering yourself is the actor, the ego.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to do. It is playing its the ego is playing its role better than you are playing it. Better than you are playing yours, because the ego is doing what it is supposed to do. You are the one who is not doing what you're supposed to do. You are supposed to find the ego and remember that it's an ego. So the ego is it's doing its role so well that even you starting to think that it is the real thing. That's how well it is playing that role. That's why when you catch it, you have to just laugh. I said this play, easy. Don't despise it. Don't get mad at yourself. Don't, oh man. All right.
Thank you for that, Sir T. That was well said. And to add to your point, what you're alluding to is that as an actor knows, as I mentioned, Lawrence Fishburne as an example, he knows he's just playing a part. And so he does not mind what role they give him. He never minds the role that they gives him, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. You know, we've seen Lawrence played some really good roles and some roles that you would despise him. Um, but he always returns to who he truly is. in his real life, so to speak. And as a matter of fact, so much so that we throw award shows for these guys, recognition for playing such a wonderful part, even though the part was not, it could have been a real life story in the one he played with Tina Turner. What love got to do with it? But he's played other parts too, like Matrix, and which are fictional. Um, that's another story. Not so much fictional, but you know what I'm saying. He was in which other movie? Boys in the Hood. It was just a movie, but he was actually given an idea of what it's like to live in the hood, live in the ghetto. Um, People can identify with that. And all the guys that were in that movie, Ice Cube and alike, were just playing a part, and they all got awarded and recognition for it. And we didn't take them too seriously. It was just an educational process, really, informational process, really, that they were given. And so it's the same we should feel about ourselves, in the sense that we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously when we're playing this part. Now that we know who we
Sir,
really are. Yes, sir, T.
you said something very profound. If we don't walk away with anything else today, walk away with what Chris just said. Chris says because the actor knows that he's playing a part, because Lawrence Fishburne knows that he's just acting, he does not matter, he does not mind, he not get any can get flustered by any role with him give to play, whether it is the role of a hero or a villain, because he knows that it's just a part. When you know, once you come into remembrance that this guy walking around here with them call Mark Taylor, this girl here with them call Donna Taylor, or Janice, or anyone else, when you remember that that person is only acting, whatever role comes up on you, you don't get flustered about it, you know. It's coming like if you're having a dream, and have you ever had a dream where you're in the middle of the dream, you realize it's a dream?
Yeah.
I told you about my recurrent dreams that I have where it happens to me ever so often where me ever park my car, me always a park my car somewhere for the rest of the dream, whole night, however long the dream lasts. Me I walk up and down in some park in some place, I try to find out my car and can't find it. In those dreams, I always end up remembering before me wake up. Me always realize you're dreaming, a dream. And when you once you realize you're dreaming, a dream, then me know me car, me car parking in my garage, my yard.
Yeah.
So it is when you realize that this life that you're having is a dream, it's a dream you're dreaming. And the fact that you now remember, you wake up in a middle of a dream. When you remember, when you wake up,
The dream has become lucid now.
dream becomes lucid, you wake up in the middle of the dream. So why are you flustering yourself about something that you know is a dream? Why are you flustering yourself about a role you're playing when you know you're acting? You
Yeah, man, it's true. True point right there, Sir T, is that recognition, meaning to remember, that's what recognition really means. You've come to yourself as a prodigal son. You've now come to yourself, and you remember where you once were prior to where you are now. And you realize that all you have to do is go back home. Go back home in your consciousness, um, and reassemble, which means to remember, put everything back together as it once was, as one. You're in a fragmented state here, but in the infinite state, you are unfragmented. You are one with the source at all times, and you can come and go as we've been doing unknowingly all these millennia. And now that we've awakened, you don't have to be worried about, you know, um, life and death. hell and heaven, and all these things that we've been indoctrinated with to keep us trapped in that consciousness of fear based. You understand? And this is one of the things that clouds our ability to manifest, which is one of the biggest reasons why we do these classes every Sunday, is to increase our ability to manifest just as easily as we manifested this dimension. You understand? This dimension that we manifested was effortless. You have to understand that, because we were in a very, very pure state of awareness where there's no friction, there's no disbelief, unfaithfulness, no worry, no doubt, no fear. It's just as easy as one, two, three, as clear as you know, anything that's easy for you to do. That's how simple it was. But once you come here, you're in a limited state, which the tape is going to go over to in a bit. You're in a limited state. You understand? And so, because it's a limited state that you're in, there has to be hardship. There has to be doubt, fear. As I mentioned earlier, Sir T, about the ego. The ego is where that all of these things lives. The fear and doubt only lives in the ego. It doesn't live in yourself. You understand? The doubter is always the ego, also known as the devil, the doubter, you know. And so your job is to discipline the ego to start to function as the self. Okay? That is the job of the ego, is to start to function as the self. In the terms of not desiring something and then trying to figure out how to create it. No, the ego cannot do that. The ego can only choose or desire, have an intention, and pay attention to things in particular. But the ego also, when disciplined, also knows that you have to turn it over to the self, the storehouse, where all things come from. The bridge between the self and the ego is what we're talking about as well, is the fourth dimension, which is all your imaginal act. You are deciding on something and you have imagined the wish fulfilled. We haven't been taught how to use our imagination. We've been using our imagination almost like turning a gun on yourself. It works, but we weren't turning the gun in the right direction. You understand? So we were using our imagination against ourselves. I told you guys of a story where I literally imagined the possibility of falling off of this roof, which I did. I imagined coming off of a wall one time with coming down on some kind of a sharp object. Actually, I imagined it was a broken bottle that I was going to come down on, and I did. It happened exactly how I had imagined it. Okay. So we've been using our imagination against ourselves, not realizing that it's not just our imagination. That's what they teach us to say, oh, it's just in your imagination. No, because usually when we imagine things that we don't want, we really believe it can happen. That's why it happened, because we believe it. We remain very faithful to the probability. Sometimes we feel like it's inevitable, to be honest with you. And whenever something is in your is inevitable to you, then it is. It's a matter of time. And so we've been instructed to use our imagination, which is the bridge between your the 3D world where you are having the experience and the 5D world wherein everything comes from. It's a storehouse. Okay? Everything lives there, moves, and have its being. And it mentions here that the 3D world is the lower dimension. It's lower because it's physical, and so you have to operate at a limited aspect of the self. it's like I use this example before many times. It's like the water coming from the plant. The plant is the storehouse. This is the 5D version to use this example to demonstrate. The big old plant where all the water is, that is the 5D storehouse.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh-oh. Hold on there. I don't know.
What?
Oops. Hold on. What is this now? Make sure I mute by accident. Yeah, yeah, so the tank or the plant, depending on where you are, is the storehouse of the water. But then there is a bridge or a pipe which is attached to the tank, um, a large size pipe, which then carries the water from the pipe, from the tank to the community. Okay. And then off of that pipe or that tube, you have some other smaller pipes that comes off of that and goes into all the homes. You can see the three different phases of how this is working. You have the storehouse, the big tank or the plant. You have the one in the middle, the smaller version to channel the water in limited flow towards the homes. And then you have to limit it again to go inside of the house. You can't ever go into the house with the same force from the big pipe. You have to minimize that force again to about 60 or less PSI going into the house, so that the pipes don't break when it's being used or when the water is turned off. No, when the water is really turned off, that's when the PSI really builds up. So everything is minimized coming from the source. So even right here on this planet, we've demonstrated how consciousness is being used and how it works. Cannot work any other way. The whole vast consciousness, the infinite, where everything lives, is just no experience. Everything is just there. Big tank of water not being used. But once it starts being used, or to give an experience, or to allow someone to partake in it, it has to drastically decrease the usage or how it is used. Okay? If we were to burst open this whole tank, it would flood the whole neighborhood. People would drown, all these different type of stuff. You understand? So everything had to be limited. And when it gets to the house, you're now using it at the kitchen faucet, the bathroom, the bathroom sinks, the toilet, wherever you have water inside the house, the water heater, the washing machine, all these things are using the same source in a limited aspect. It cannot use it any more than that. As long as you're using it in the right proportion and so on and so forth. So it's the same thing with our consciousness. That part that I just described, we do it so easily. We understand it because I guess we understand because we can't actually see it. It's easy to do, nothing hard. But our consciousness, our awareness is more dynamic, and that is the issue. When we're operating the electricity or the water, I just demonstrated, there's nothing to it. You don't even know how it works. You just know you turn on the pipe and everything comes. There's nothing to it, really. Even if you don't know plumbing. But with your mind, with your awareness, it's totally different because there's so many different things influencing how you use the consciousness in this limited aspect here. There's so many things you're taking in that's causing you to be all over the place. You're not just super focused on one thing. There's so many things that you can do and involve yourself with. So that's what causes the difference. Now we're learning to discipline ourselves so that we can use the consciousness in the limited aspect in which it can be used here on this planet, but use it wisely. Okay? That's what we're learning to do. We have to keep doing this every week so that we remain in that unconscious competent state wherein we don't even have to think about how to do it. We just do it. Thereby, we're always operating from that unconscious competent state. That's where we want to get to. That's called autonomy. But we have to consciously do it. We used to operate subconsciously, meaning 90%, 95% of our lives is just behaviors that we habituated, that we learned over time, and it became a habit. And we're just doing everything as a habit with no thought if it was right, wrong, or is it productive, any at all. Now we're really learning to realign our behaviors, but we have to do it from a conscious standpoint and um, remain disciplined, um, so that we can have a perfect or near perfect world as we continue this journey of life or the game of life. You understand? But to continue, the 4D world, like I mentioned, is a bridge between the 3D and the 5D. Serti just wrote it in the chat very perfectly. Let's see what Serti had said here in the chat. He says that the 5D is the self, the 3D is the ego, and the 4D is the workshop where 3D and 5D communicates. And as I just mentioned, the water between the pipe between the plant and the house is how the house communicates with the plant. You understand? This is the bridge. Without this bridge in the middle, the house does not get any water. And the water, the plant, that water is never used up. So it is necessary for that part in the middle. And this part in the middle we're talking about here is the imaginal state. How we imagine. When we imagine, we are tapping into the self, the 5D storehouse, the warehouse where everything exists. Okay? And we're going to let the tape run again so we can talk some more about that. But everything exists in the 5D world, and your imaginal acts or imaginal state is pulling from that state of being or state of awareness every possibility that already exists. Okay? We just have to now learn to, and even Reverend like mentioned it on one of the tape I was playing, to only concern ourselves with the productivity or the productive aspect of the mind, because it's easy to go back and forth into negativity and so on and so forth. But if we stay on the productive side of the mind, the good side, so to speak, meaning that whatever makes you feel good or productive, entertain that side only, because everything you're doing lives within the storehouse. Poverty, being rich, being sick, being wealthy, being all these different things, all of that exists in the infinite self, because your self is all knowing. It has to know good and evil, or inhabit all these different states of being or states of awareness. The conscious mind's purpose is to accept what it is true to it, what it believes to be true to it, and that will come to you from the storehouse. Okay, so I hope that made some sense. The 5D world is infinite. All the possibilities is the ultimate reality, and it is the storehouse as mentioned, and everything lives within it. It is the eternal now. Everything there is the past, the present, and the future. All of that stuff is in yourself, in the 5D awareness. Everything lives there. In the 3D world, the past gone already, The present is now, and the future is coming. But in the infinite self, the 5D awareness, in that world, the past, the present, and the future, they are one eternal no. One eternal no. Okay? And so that's why you can imagine, yourself in a better state than where you were some 10 or 20 years ago. You can go back and look at the years where you were and revise that, as Never God teaches us. You can revise something that happened to you last week. The job declined, your what I call it now, your promotion. You can revise that. You understand? It happened in the past, but you can revise it right now because the present, the past, and the future all lives in your real self right now. So you can redo it. Neville did that when he was in the military and wanted to go home. That was a revision. They denied him, and he said, you know what? I'm going to go back and put myself in New York on my bed, walk in the streets. That was a revision that he did. And 9 days later, they called him up to the office and released him and sent him home. But they had first denied him 9 days before. You understand? But never went into the storehouse where the past, the present, and the future is right now. So you can call anything into being. It doesn't pass you like in this linear world, and you cannot go back. You understand? In that world, everything exists right now, and you can amend it, as they say, to your liking. All right. So that said, let's go back to the tape and continue for a while, and we're going to come back and talk about our findings.
And you claim it as your reality. This is the great secret. You are not creating anything. You are selecting from infinite pre-existing possibilities. You are not manifesting. You are choosing which already manifested reality you will experience. And when you understand this, when you can consciously enter the 5D world and operate from it, manifestation becomes instant. Because you are not waiting for something to be created. You are simply claiming what already is. Let me explain to you the mechanics of the 5D world, because understanding how it works is essential to using it. In the 5D world, everything exists as pure consciousness, pure potentiality, pure being. There is no form yet, no manifestation in the physical sense, but there is complete and total reality at the level of consciousness. Imagine a radio dial with infinite stations, each station broadcasting a different reality. The reality where you are wealthy is one station. The reality where you are poor is another station. The reality where you are healthy, loved, successful. Each is its own station, all broadcasting simultaneously. In the 3D world, you can only hear one station at a time, the one you are currently tuned to. And because you only hear one station, you believe that is the only reality that exists. But in the 5D world, all stations are broadcasting right now. All realities exist simultaneously. The question is not which reality will come into existence. The question is which reality will you tune into? Your consciousness is the dial. Your assumptions, your beliefs, your habitual thoughts and feelings determine which station you are tuned to. And whichever station you tune to in the 5D world, that is what appears in your 3D experience. Most people are tuned to the station of their current circumstances. They see poverty, so they stay tuned to the poverty station. They experience loneliness, so they remain tuned to the loneliness station. They do not realize they can change the station at any moment. But when you become conscious of the 5D world, when you understand that you can choose which reality to tune into, everything changes. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are the conscious selector of your reality. So how do you actually enter the 5D world? How do you access this dimension where all possibilities exist? The answer is both simple and profound. You enter the 5D world through the doorway of assumption. When you assume something is already true, when you claim a reality is already existing, you are operating from the 5D world. Let me be very specific about how this works. First, you must identify which reality you wish to experience, not what you want to create, but which already existing reality you wish to claim. Do you wish to experience the reality where you are wealthy, where you are loved, where you are healthy? Second, you must recognize that this reality already exists in the 5D world. It is not something you need to make happen. It is not something you need to manifest. It already is. The wealthy you already exists. The loved you already exists. These are not future possibilities. They are present realities in the dimension of infinite possibilities. Third, you must claim this reality as yours, not through effort, not through trying to bring it to you, but through simple assumption. You assume this is your reality. You take it as a given fact. You accept it as already true. This assumption is the key that unlocks the door to the 5D world. When you truly assume something is yours, when you claim an already existing reality, you shift your consciousness to that frequency, to that station. And once you are tuned to that station in the 5D world, it must appear in your 3D experience. But here is where most people fail. They try to assume while still identifying with their 3D circumstances. They try to claim the wealthy reality while still seeing themselves as poor. They try to tune to the love station while still feeling lonely. You cannot be in two places at once. You cannot be tuned to two stations simultaneously. You must completely shift your identification from the 3D reality you are experiencing to the 5D reality you are claiming. This brings us to the most important practice, learning to live from the 5D world rather than from the 3D world. Living from the 3D world means you base your thoughts, feelings, and actions on what you currently see in your physical reality. You look at your bank account and think poor thoughts. You notice your empty bed and feel lonely. You check the mirror and think sick thoughts. You are living from the 3D evidence. Living from the 5D world means you base your thoughts, feelings, and actions on the reality you have claimed in the dimension of infinite possibilities. Regardless of what the 3D world shows you, you think, feel, and act from the reality you have selected in the 5D world. When you live from the 5D world, your bank account may show lack, but you think from wealth. Your current circumstances may show loneliness, but you feel from love. Your body may show symptoms, but you identify with the health that already exists in the 5D reality you have claimed. This is not denial. This is not pretending. This is recognizing that the 3D world is showing you yesterday's reality, the old station you were tuned to, but you have now tuned to a new station in the 5D world, and you are waiting for the 3D world to catch up and reflect this new reality. Let me give you a practical example. A man came to me who wanted to experience financial abundance. He had been trying to manifest money for years with no success. He visualized, he affirmed, he worked techniques, nothing changed. I said to him, stop trying to manifest money. Instead, recognize that in the 5D world, the reality where you are abundantly wealthy already exists right now. Your job is not to create this reality. Your job is to claim it and live from it. I taught him to spend time each day consciously entering the 5D world in his imagination. He would close his eyes and recognize in the infinite dimension of possibilities there exists a version of me who is abundantly wealthy. That version is as real as any other version. And I now claim that version as my reality. Then throughout his day, whenever his 3D circumstances tried to pull him back into the consciousness of lack, he would remember, I am living from the 5D reality of abundance. What I see in 3D is old news, yesterday's reflection. My new reality is already established in the 5D world and is now making its way into my 3D experience. Within 3 months, money came to him in ways he never expected, not because he manifested it, but because he tuned into the station where he was already wealthy, and the 3D world reflected this new frequency. One of the most powerful aspects of the 5D world is that time does not exist there. In the 5D dimension, everything exists in the eternal now. Past, present, and future are simultaneous. This means that what you call your future already exists in the 5D world. The life you will be living 5 years from now already exists right now in the dimension of infinite possibilities. You are not creating your future. Your future already exists. You are simply selecting which future you will experience. This is why I teach that you can collapse time. When you claim a reality in the 5D world, you are not waiting for it to be created and then appear in your future. You are claiming something that already exists. And the 3D world simply updates to reflect this reality. And the speed at which a 5D reality appears in your 3D experience depends on the intensity and consistency of your assumption.
All right, let us unpack that a little bit. We have a few more minutes left on the video. So when we get back, we're just going to play out the rest of it. But as you heard there, key point here is how to enter the 5D world, how to enter the self. And he uses the word assumption or assume. Very simple, but yet profound, as he said. The 5D world is where creation is already finished. Creation is finished, meaning that there is nothing to create. It's only to accept or to to see as already a reality in your world. It's nothing for you to devise. Anything is possible in that world, and it is really that simple. It's pure awareness. It's without form and void, and dark. And I posted in the chat, coming right here, sir. I posted in the chat the Genesis creation story, and I was looking at that a couple of days ago, and I was like, this is what Genesis was talking about. Even before I listened to this video, which is interesting. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. All right, so in the heaven here is your fifth dimensional self. And the earth is the reflection of that creation or that self. You understand? So in the very beginning, everything already existed. That's what it's telling you. From the very beginning. But don't do not assume that there was even a beginning. This is just to, there must be a better word to say than beginning, because beginning means there was a start. But whatever that word is, consciousness has always been. All right. And so from that state of being, the heaven and the earth already existed within the consciousness. That's what it's telling you right there. And it says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the earth, upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Think to yourself, guys, if the earth was without form and void, that means it was already created. So it's not talking about that. It couldn't be something that had form already. It says right here that the earth was without form. Can we see that the earth has a form right here as we move upon this plane? It says it was without form, so it's not talking about this particular thing that we live on called the earth. That's not what it is saying. It was void and without and dark, and was up and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. The spirit here is yourself. you know, your true identity. And it's moving upon itself. The waters represents consciousness or awareness of being. So you're moving upon yourself. And everything is in the dark. Everything is without form. Everything is void. There's nothing to, in particular, within your consciousness. Okay? Everything exists within it, but there's nothing in particular. It's like water. You look at water, and water is water, but it can take so many different shape and form. But when you look at it, you cannot tell what shape it is because it is formless. And your consciousness is the very same thing. That's what Genesis was telling you. And God said, let there be light. You're saying, let there be my desire. Let there be a brand new house, a brand new car. That's what you're saying. But it's coming from your awareness, from the void, from the darkness, from the formless substance. That is you. That's what it's telling you right here. But it tells it in such a way that you identify it, the story, with reality or with history. And that is not the case at all. This is simply creative writing by the author or authors, whoever they were, that wrote this story about the art of creating within your consciousness. Okay, so nothing historical, nothing literal. This is all pure awareness at work, telling you how you function as consciousness. Um, when you're creating your world. Surti, go ahead.
Yeah, Circus. Am I coming through?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, man. No. At the point you were referring to, the way you would use assumption.
Mm-hmm.
You use assumption to
Enter.
choose to enter. Yeah, to choose what you are selecting from out of the big store, from out of Walmart.
Yes.
You use assumption because, and the key fact in all that you were saying though is that all you're doing is choosing. Do not see it's easy upon the mind. If you put it in your mind that I have to create this thing, I have to create this manifest this thing. Now it's giving you something to do, and there is nothing to do. All you have to do is choose.
Mm-hmm.
Choose the version. Now that you know that everything already exists, the version of yourself that you're craving, that you so strongly desire to experience, it already exists. Just choose it. But the caveat is that when you choose it, you know that it will not appear in 3D immediately. It will not appear immediately. Choose it and relax. You
Hmm.
know, it would be like when you order something from Amazon and you know say you order it. Are you anxious? Are you them
No,
kind them are going to deliver it. It'll come.
you know.
It's going to come. And you
Yeah.
know it. And you know it's going to come. As a matter
Mm-hmm.
of fact, it might end up coming. If you buy something from Amazon and you feel in yourself so when you put it on your doorstep, somebody go TV. I promise you somebody go TV. You just created that TV, even if nobody had any intention of TV. Now you just
Somebody had to complete the part.
complete the part. So when you order from the self, from the 5D world of self,
Stop,
when you
don't.
it's already at the minute you order it, it's on the way. It's already on the way. How long is it gonna take to get to you? That's none of your business. How long it's gonna take it to get to you is remember we always talk, even before we get this deep, this understanding, we always say how and when should be left out of the entire thing. You don't know how, meaning you don't know which route the Amazon man go drive to come deliver the thing. You don't know if he's gonna come from east or west. Yeah, it depends on where his last delivery was.
Mm.
That's where he's gonna come from. So we don't know how, we don't
Mm-hmm.
know how it's gonna be delivered, and we don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
Even when the Amazon man tell us he might come, he give you a window, you know. He give you a window of time that it will be delivered. He can't give you a specific time.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't give you a specific time. He gives a window of time that it will
Yeah.
be delivered. It's the same thing when you choose. Remember now, guys, you're choosing. You're not. We get to a stage here at the one great I am where we are now at a stage of inner standing, where we know that you're not creating anything because everything is already created. You're not manifesting anything. All you're doing is choosing. If when it's alive, if you want to call it manifestation, it's upon you. But manifesting would suggest that there is something for you to do. And we are telling you that there is nothing to do. There is nothing to do except to be aware. Aware of what? Aware of the grand factory that has everything. Aware that that factory is there. It's called yourself. Sorry, dear guys. I have two little boy. I want grandson. I want a son, man. I tell the man they would have made. I'm trying to clean up the room while I'm doing this thing, and these two boys is something else. Anyway,
Boys will be boys.
when you choose, you're choosing from an eternal source that has everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just be confident in that. You don't even have to understand how that works. Just know how it works. You don't even have to understand. Just know. Now that you have awakened to the point where you realize that, oh, there's a grand factory, a grand store where everything comes into focus, comes into being, and you don't have to understand how. Just choose and relax. Never have a tape me on order and wait.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. You're ordering from the 5D world of self, the factory, and wait. Just wait. And when you're waiting, you're not waiting with no panic or no anxiety. You're waiting with assurance, man. It has to come.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's all it is to it, guys.
Yes, thank you for that, Sir T. And it's absolutely true. You know, it's just that simple as you mentioned, using the Amazon or Walmart example, where we are all customers ordering online, and here's a 3D effect, or the three different phases that we're talking about here, the three different dimensions of you ordering your product or groceries. You know, you have to put in your order. That is you desiring what it is that you want, and you place the order um, with the manufacturer, who this in this case is Walmart or Sam's or Amazon. Okay, that is a storehouse that you place in the order with. Okay, um, but you have to have a middleman that brings it to you. Okay, you have a middleman that brings it to you. So you place the order, whoever that department is, they take it to the manufacturer and wrap up your gift or your product and whatnot, and they put it on a truck to deliver it to you, to bring it to you. And you don't have to worry about if it's coming or not, because you have ultimate faith that this is a reputable company, and they're not steal your money because they want you as a client again or a customer again. You don't have any problem with that. No qualms with it. You're just waiting. And yeah, you might be anxious as to how long it's going to take. You may not know how long, but it is certain, and it will not be late. It's going to come right on time, just in time when you need it. You understand? And so that video or that tape that Red Never has called Order and Wait is exactly what we're talking about here today. We're just giving you the different compartments or departments in which, when you order, how it works, how it functions, how it flows. The three different dimensions we mentioned here. This is the third dimension, is the last dimension where this thing ends up, because this is the dimension where the experience comes to light. When the Bible talks about light, it's talking about consciousness, um, you know, being apparent, being seen. Okay. Um, it says here, and God said, let there be light, and there was light, and God saw the light that it was good. You understand? And God divided the light from the darkness, meaning that your desire is no longer in the void. It is here now. You understand? That's why it's divided. It's apparent. Okay. Now that I have it, I can have the experience. It's no longer me wondering how it is, what it is like, if it's good, or I know can see that it is good.
No longer in the shadows, it's now in the light.
It's now in the light. You understand? You realize that you are a creator, or that you can call from the void the thing desired, or things desired. You've proven it to yourself. And now you can um, be confident in yourself that whatever you desire, whatever you have the nature or the need to experience, you can do it. And all you have to do is call it forth. Go into your imagination, which is we're talking about here, the workshop. That is the um your coordinator, so to speak, that coordinates the different ways and means on how things are going to transpire with your desire. Yes, sir, T.
So, Chris, the beautiful thing about this is that it is repeatable. Once you see this, that you
Mm-hmm.
are, it's repeatable. This is not like prayer, where a religious guy will tell you, say, well, I go through an experience before where I was going through this and that, and I pray, and I see God do this and God do that. Well, do it again. You're going through something again right now. Do it again. If it's not repeatable, if you can't do it again now, then that was just what happened that one time you're talking about. This is repeatable.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. It works the same way every time. Now, is this a little candy shop where you can manipulate and just go for gimme, 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 gimme? No, that's not how that works either.
Mm.
It's not how that works either. Not that you can go there and get your horses and your chariots, through the same means, because it does work.
Yeah.
It's You're an awakened being. You're not gonna be into your ego so much where you're just craving this stuff. When you're awakened to the point where you can choose that will and wait and it comes. Once you figure that out, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be less into your ego, where you're not interested if you chose a Lamborghini and a this and a that. You don't even have that interest. You won't even have that interest. You know why? Because you're not trying to decorate the ego. Now that you found the ego guy, you're not trying to decorate. You just want that car, you know, have to be. And nothing is, if it's a Lamborghini you want, yes, but eventually your ego will come down some more. You're going to realize that you're need. Once you're awakened, your ego starts to die. Because what is the objective? You have to kill the ego before it dies.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let the ego die on its own.
Yeah, let it die in its sin.
No, you can't let it die in its sin. No, you have to kill it before it dies. You have to kill it by humbling it all the way down, make a true disciple.
Mm. Absolutely, sir, T. Um, let's mention this here where it says that I like the example that Neville used here, about the radio station, that your consciousness is this radio station or this dial where all the station exist. And I believe we have used this example before, but it's very relatable to what we're talking about today, wherein your consciousness, the totality of your consciousness, is like a radio station where all the different or various radio stations exist, or channels, right, within the radio station. So, but you have the dial, which is turning from one station to another or one channel to another, and whatever you desire to listen to, reggae, hip hop, soca, calypso, whatever, R&B. It's up to you. It is your desire. And all you have to do is tune to it. Now, the many different channels, they represent all your different desires that are within the radio station, or the location of the station itself. But as you can see, you have different towers, or whatever they call them, that are spread out, or wherein your radio picks up the signal, depending on how far you are from them. And if you're too far from the tower, you realize you get a bunch of static. Okay? It's telling you, as you mentioned here about praying, Sir T, that the prayer has to be a certain way. Okay? It says when you pray, go into your closet and shut the door and do it in secret. And whatever you do in secret, you will be blessed, openly. Don't be praying like the hypocrites on the side at the seat on the sidewalk, so that people can hear them. For they too will receive their reward. You know what their reward is? Nothing, because they're not doing it in the right way. They're too far away from the source, because they're doing it pretty much willing it, trying to will it, not realizing that this is not how you pray. How you pray, you, as it says right here, you enter the 3D, the 5D world by assumption, by assuming that the wish is already fulfilled. Not praying for it to be fulfilled, but assuming that it already is. When Jesus in the storybook, the parable book, went to go and raise Lazarus, remember, Jesus, prior to Lazarus, had never raised anybody from the dead yet. That was the most profound miracle, to raise someone who was dead for 4 days already, according to scripture. Okay? And so when he went there, them say he was dead for 4 days and he was started to smell, to kind of dramatize how dead this guy was. He wasn't just dead 4 hours ago or 4 minutes ago, 4 days. So say nobody not coming back from the dead after 4 days. 4 minutes maybe, or even 4 hours, but 4 days, and you're smelling, it's over with. But just to dramatize the scenery, and to show you, to represent something difficult, so-called difficult to do. But the way in how Jesus demonstrated how to raise Lazarus from the dead was to show you that there is nothing too difficult to do. Whether it's a big project or a small project, the same prayer works for the same thing. The difference is your faith, how long you sustain your faith, to that wish fulfilled. And so what Jesus said, the first thing Jesus said was, thank you, Father. That's what I'm saying now. Thank you, Father. And he said, I thank you, Father, for you always hear me. And the next thing he said was, Lazarus, come forth. That's you going to your 5D dimension, or 5D self, knowing that creation is finished. That's what, when him say, you always hear me, that's what it means. There is nothing to create. Everything already exists. So I don't have to specify with this long prayer, as Christians do, trying to will the thing. Because when you're doing it like that, this continuous verbiage is really demonstrating doubt, because you're trying to repeat it way too much and for too long. What you're supposed to do for a long period of time is holding the assumption, not praying for the thing to happen. The only thing you hold on to for as long as possible until this thing manifests is the assumption of the wish fulfilled, meaning to live in the end, or live from the end. That's the only thing you're going to do. for a length of time, it is nothing, it's nothing verbal, it's all psychological. Living in that assumption that whenever was wanted to go back to Barbados, he went to Barbados and lived there night after night after night until weeks later his brother sent him a letter for his return. When he was in the military, he did it night after night after night. That's holding the assumption for an extended period of time. He assumed he was back in New York. 9 days later, them call him to the office and send him home.
And Sir Chris,
Yes, sir. T.
important, while you're holding the assumption,
Mm-hmm.
night after night after night, remind yourself, you're not holding this assumption in order to make it happen. You're holding the assumption because it has happened.
It has
In other words,
yes.
no effort to take out the effort out. You're not doing anything in order to cause anything to happen.
Yeah.
It has already. In other words, the joy that you're feeling, the joy that Neville was feeling of being in Barbados. He wasn't doing it in order for the Barbados thing to happen. He was doing it because he genuinely knew that it had already happened.
Yeah.
All right. So keep in mind now, don't get lost in effort. Don't start doing this thing and you're doing it and in other words, don't get mad at yourself if one night you forget to go to bed assuming because you're thinking, oh, so no, it's not gonna happen because I forgot my steps and no, I'm not for that. You can't forget it. No matter. You're not happy to know. It's just good discipline to hold the assumption why, so that you don't fall back asleep again.
Yeah.
You hold the assumption that you are there. It's here. It's mine. I'm there.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Sir T, because another way in which you would know if you are holding on to the assumption or that you have let it go is when you start looking for signs. That's one way. When you know you're not holding the assumption because what Neville say, was it Neville? Where it says if you already have something, you're not going to be looking for it. If you already have the car of your desire in your driveway, you're not going to go at a dealership or looking for the car because you already have it. Or you're not going to be looking for somebody to give you the money or anything like that because you already have it. That is how you know that you are living in the assumption when you are not looking for signs. That is the clearest way, because uh, I think the Jews were those who were looking for signs in scripture, signs of the return or signs of you know the that you are the Christ and all these different things they were asking. One at a time, I think it was Thomas. Was it Thomas? Yeah, that he was saying that show me say are you, you know, show me the cuts them in your hand, the nails, and Jesus said, blessed are those who had not seen but yet they believe. To believe means to live in the assumption that the wish is already fulfilled. You're not looking for evidence of it coming. That's why scripture also says the return is like a thief in the night. A thief can never wait, let's say now surprise you if you were looking over the thief because you would have seen the thief, so them can't surprise you. So your assumption, though false at the time, if sustained or persisted in, will harden into facts. But that fact is going to be a surprise. You're not going to see it coming. You understand? It's going to happen so organically that you didn't expect to find it or see it or get it on the day that you did. You were expecting it, yes, to come at some point, but your mind is going to be caught up in some other world at the time, some other dimension, some other thing going on at the time, unbeknownst to you that this was going to happen. This was coming. But it came because you were resolved um, in the notion that it was already fulfilled. You were living as if it was already a fact. So it must materialize because you are being faithful. To be faithful is to live as if it already happened. As Sir T say, faith is to feel as if this happened. You're living as if this already happened, past tense. So you're living in the assumption. And I remember doing that, when I was searching for my barbershop, my wife's vehicle, um, many other examples, many other things. To give you a quick story, guys, my TV went bad. I'm looking at right now, got a new one. But the story is the TV went bad, and I returned the TV to Sam's. And when I returned it, just to cut the story short, the TV that I got, the new one that I got, wife never liked it, so I had to return it. So the thing is, no, on returning it, I didn't have a ride. Because when I got the first one, the replacement, I rented the truck. But I brought the truck back already. I should never like the TV. So I decided I was going to bring it back, right? But I never tell her. So I went in my imagination. The TV was not on the wall yet. So I was just presenting it to her, and she said she didn't like it or whatever. So excuse me. But exactly as how the TV is on the wall right now, I imagine the TV on the wall just like that. I imagine myself, me and her, sitting on the couch, watching the TV or whatever. And I remember it hit me. I was in the shower at the time, and I'm going through this. I'm imagining this scene, right? And I'm saying to myself, I don't have a right to return the TV tomorrow. You know, but we're not gonna worry about that. I have the right, but I did not try to figure out who was going to do it, who was going to come by the shop at the time, and I'm going to be at work the next day. The TV is going to be at home. Who's going to assist me? I never got caught up into that. I just lived in the end. I just lived in the end of the wish fulfilled, right? So, and I'm saying, make sure I'm watching my thoughts, watching myself. Make sure I'm not looking for signs. Who is going to do it? Who's going to call me? So, went to work the next day, and I'm there at work. Friend of mine, one of my clients texted me, he needs a cut. He came by the shop. He has a truck. But at the time, it was not the perfect time because I already had two more clients after him. So I never even bothered to entertain that. I said, you know what? I'm not even going to ask him. I'm just going to leave it as is. Because I'm gonna do too much to put him out of his way or whatever. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna trust the process that it has already worked out. So me saying that now, maybe an hour later, I got a notification. One of my clients booked an appointment. Good friend of mine booked an appointment. So when I look at the appointment, I called him. I said, you booked the wrong time. I mean the wrong appointment or whatever and stuff. So we got to talking, and he said, that's all right. I'm near your shop. I have to pass that way when I'm coming. So I have to pass that way or whatever. Because as I'm talking to him, I completely forgot that he even had a vehicle that could help me. I was not even thinking about it. I just called him about the appointment. And it dawned on me as I'm talking to him. I said, well on there. You have a van, right? He said, yeah. I said, is it possible you can help me bring back a TV to Sam's? And he said, yeah, I can do it. I'm actually down the road from you. When I'm on my way back, I can stop by, take it to your house, grab the TV, and return it. And basically killing two birds with one stone because um, after he returned the TV, I'm going to go back to the barber shop and cut him and his son. So it so happened that he had never used the app before. I just sent him the app to book his next appointment whenever that time was, because I always did it for him. This time he booked it for himself, but I only called him back because he booked the wrong appointment. I was not even thinking that this man had a vehicle to help me. And when he told me, yeah, I can help you, and I'm saying to myself, well, how are you going to do it because you have a van? He said, no, man, the van don't have any seat in it. It's my work van. I always thought it was just a van with a bunch of seats in it, but there is no seat inside the van. That's his work van that he used because he worked with FedEx. Okay. And it just so happened so organically. I never even thought about this guy that he was going to come by whenever or even think to call him. Maybe if I did know or remember that he had the van, I probably would have called him, but I was not even thinking about that. I say, you know what? Here's what I said to myself, guys. I said, I'm going to put this to the test. That's exactly what I said to myself. I'm going to put this to the test. I'm going to assume that my TV is on the wall like it is now, from now, but I don't know how it is going to happen in terms of who was going to assist me in returning the TV to get the one that my wife said she wanted. She wanted to replace it with the same brand. I changed the brand. She didn't like that. So I had to go back to Sam's to replace it with the same brand. But I did not know how I was going to do it because I normally would use my father's truck and his truck is not running right now. So I had to rent a vehicle, but I said, I'm not going to rent a vehicle to return it. I am going to assume it's on the wall. Somebody helped me and I got my new TV and it's back on the wall. And there you have it, guys. Just like that. By 1 o'clock that day, the next day, I returned the TV to Sam's. And as it's playing out, I'm watching all of this thing happen. I'm just watching it happen. Just what it's basically deja vu because that's what deja vu is. Deja vu means already happened. That's what it means. So this already happened in my mind. I just did not know how. But I said to myself, do not concern yourself with how it is going to happen. Because if you ask how or who, you are going to start to force it. Maybe not doubt, but you're going to be trying to create it, trying to force it, trying to will it. And I wanted it to happen organically. You understand? And I like the fact that I did not know how or who or when this was going to happen. And I looked at my schedule. I had a busy early morning and a busy afternoon. That was just that one little window that was opened up for him to make that appointment. And it worked out perfectly. And I don't live too far from Sam's. I don't live too far from the shop. Sam is across from the shop. It was just perfect. Perfect time and everything just worked out. So just to demonstrate to you guys that as Neville is saying here, to enter the 5D world, you just assume. And here we are, the TV came, the TV is on the wall now. Perfect. You know. Some other stuff happened with it that worked out even better than I had imagined in terms of the member what is it? Warranty, all that type of stuff. It was crazy. How this thing worked out on that day. And so that might seem simple, guys, but you know, sometimes it is just going through the flow, just going through it over and over and over, and you start to get more confident in how you so-called create your world. And any little thing that you might find difficult, if you know how creation works, to call it that, you do it so effortlessly. Yes, sir, T.
No, just so you say, it might seem simple, but you know what? As simple as that was, you could have make $1 million just like that.
Mm.
Just as simple as that was. And I know we are saying this, but we are so zeroed into this thing that I have every confidence in what I just said a while ago. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just as you were unaffected, not flustered, not worried how you're gonna get this thing back down to the place, and you got it back down there. As simple as that. If you choose anything else, because all we're really here doing is choosing experiences. All you're doing is choosing your experience. Choose what you want to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not manifesting, you're just
That's
choosing
choice,
it.
yeah.
And as simple as that. Remember when Neville told the brethren to that you're gonna climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And the brethren and the man that was the Sunday night, his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, told him that you have to come here, this man never got to speak. And he said, all right, I'll go, but he's just gonna be a fraud like everybody else. And he
Mm-hmm.
went. And he said the first thing that caught him was when Never said, look, nobody here don't give me a single dollar. You don't need to give me a dollar. I'm gonna show you how to make a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a dollar. And he said, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna in imagination each night while you fall asleep, you're gonna be crying a ladder. And he went step by step. You're gonna put your imaginary left hand on the left rung of the ladder, and you're gonna put up your left foot, and then you're gonna put your imaginary right hand and put up your right hand, and climb up, climb down, and keep doing it until you fall asleep. Do it 3 consecutive nights. While every day you keep telling yourself, I will not climb a ladder. He's saying that to show to yourself, no matter what you say you won't do, it's what you do in imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Imagination don't hear the word man. If you climb a ladder and the guy did it, and he said later that week he had to go see his mother called and said she needs to talk to him. You need to come by the house.
Mm-hmm.
He said he took the bus, he got off the bus around the corner and walking up to his house, get to the house when parents live, turn through the gate. He walked through the gate, his father upon the roof, I fix the roof. And his father said to him, son, can you hand me that bucket of paint? And he halfway up the roof with the paint and almost painted, he said, damn, I climbed the ladder. What did,
And he told himself he was not going to climb a ladder.
and what they never said to him when he reached when he go back the following Sunday. When the following Sunday, never said all who climbed the ladder during the week after I told you what to do, show up over here. Everybody show up because everybody climbed the ladder. And he said, he never simply said to them, as simple as that, you could have made $1 million by the same method.
Mm.
Just like he didn't make a big fuss about climbing the ladder. He just knew, well, all right, I will not climb a ladder, but he do what the man telling me to do in
Yeah.
And I tried the ladder experience and it hit me. G-Mac tried it and it hit him. Yeah, you just find yourself do it. Crazy.
G-Max said he never realized till him come back down off of the roof or something like that. It's so like like I was saying, it's like so organic. It just hit you like a thief in the night. You don't even realize what's going on until it happens.
That's how everything else. It's as simple as that with everything else. So just be nice, guys. There's nothing to really worry about. Now that you've found the culprit,
Mm.
enemy within, which is the ego self. Kill the enemy, but don't kill him quickly. Don't kill him at once. Kill him slowly. Can't kill him too early. If you kill him too early, I asked you a question yesterday, sir. You ever wonder why God not kill Satan in the story? Even though it's a story, it's a story, it's a story.
Yeah, I kill him.
Why God not kill Satan? Because Satan is God's ego. God is
Right?
the self.
Oh, yeah.
God is the self. Satan is the ego.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I say? Abel is the self. Cain is the ego. Jacob is the self. Esau is the ego. Jesus is the self. Adam was the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice in all cases, the ego comes first. Cain came before Abel. Esau came before Jacob. Adam came before the Jesus in the Bible.
Jesus is the second Adam.
And even Satan being the ego. Satan appeared before God because it said
Before Jesus, yeah.
Satan appeared before God because darkness appeared before light.
Mm-hmm.
Whole thing
Exactly.
and let there be light.
Mm-hmm.
Ego is what comes
See
first.
that?
God cannot kill Satan because Satan is God's ego. If you kill when you're watching a movie,
The yin and
the
the yang, man.
hero is the self, when you're watching a movie, the hero is the self and the villain is the ego. If you kill the villain too early, the movie done. You have to kill the villain at the end of the movie. You can't kill him too early. It's the same thing with yourself. With ego here with you. You cannot kill the ego too early. You have to kill it slowly. Because you know that whenever time you kill the ego completely, that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm. It's always two, don't it?
It's always two. It has to be two. It's a duality.
Duality.
So you not just use the term yin and yang, and they have to coexist.
They have to coexist, and each of them have a little bit in each other, because the yin and yang, white and black, and then you have the dot in the a white dot in the black shade, and a black dot in the white shade. It's telling you that they are entangled.
Yes.
Can't separate. Necessary. That's why Satan they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, kill him. You always when you read it, you take the book logically, that's Satan here cause all that trouble. Why God not kill him? Because it's not a physical, literal story. It's a psychological story. And in the psychology of the story,
Mhm.
Satan ego. So God, they have to put one cannot exist without the other. You can't
No,
exist without.
it's a dichotomy, you have to, but I say Satan is roaming the earth. I know we don't see that Satan there. So it's got to be talking about all these with up a mask, running around and calling themselves persons or personality. It has to be that's what the devil is.
Hmm.
In the physical form. You understand? That's what the devil is. The
Listen to me,
mask.
man. The awakening is a beautiful thing as you slowly unravel this thing bit by bit, piece by piece. It's a beautiful thing, just very intriguing as you
Mhm.
start to unravel this thing and realize exactly what this story is really all about and what that book is really talking about. Like I said, all these characters that you're reading about in the book, every character you read about in every story, one is playing the ego and one is playing the self.
Mm.
Every character that you read about in these stories, these characters are always either representing the ego or the self.
Mhm.
Man or the outer man. And all these scriptures that you read, all of them talk about the same exact thing. Every last one of them. There is nothing else to talk about.
Just different
Yeah.
ways.
All right, I'm gonna show you something. You see, religious, and this is not coming down on religious people, they don't know better. I'm just telling you now that you know better, so you see as far as you can from something. Don't ever be tempted to go back into Egypt. Bondage. Into bondage. I'm gonna show you something with religious people.
That bondage.
Religious religious people have the biggest ego that you could ever imagine. They have no intention, desire, or even knowledge that they need to slowly kill their ego. The Christian's ego gets bigger every day instead of get smaller. How do I say that? Remember what we are now realizing and observing here, that you have to slowly kill the ego. The ego is going to eventually die. The actor.
Mhm.
Christians believe in a freedom ego to the point where they believe that their ego is gonna obtain a thing called eternal life in our place that is better than here, in heaven.
Mm.
Their ego is so big that they will not they don't see that ego ever depart thing, that ego is gonna live forever. That's the ego of the religious mind. You know. The religious mind feel like his ego is better than the other man's ego. If
Yeah.
you are not subscribed to my religion, then my ego is better than yours, because my ego is gonna live forever in our place in heaven, and your ego is gonna die forever in our place in hell. It's a very egotistic approach that religion has taught these people, and that's where they stay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so when you come into awakening, your ego is slowly dying. When you go into religion, your ego keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, man, that is a process, you know, like you said, to kill it slowly. Not in a literal sense, but just the removing the veil, you know, that the blinders, you know, so you can now have sight. You know, this is some of the miracle that Jesus was even demonstrating to the blind, who were the blind man or whoever who was once blind but now can see. The other person who you're telling to pick up your bed and walk, you know. Um, these are just awakening states. They symbolize people who are stuck in one place all in life, born this way, and now they're healed, which is to come to yourself, remember, and remove the veil, and now function as you're supposed to be functioning, um, you know, in your eternal state. As the team was saying here, yes, we live in the 3D world, but we should function from the 5D perspective, meaning to always be aware that there is nothing for us to do. It's just to choose, from the storehouse. If we know that, like when you go Walmart, you don't go there for make anything. You just go there for choose something and you come out. And we have the utmost faith that whatever we're going to Walmart for, whether it's in person or online, we know say it exists. I would just go there and choose it. You understand? So we should have the same type of effortless effort, so to speak, in doing these things. But our brought up, see, meaning the way we were conditioned or cultured, has created this veil or this supposed hardship in choosing our wish fulfilled. And it's all just a psychological decision, nothing with any effort other than that. And then everything else will play itself out, as I demonstrated with my friend, helping me to return my TV. I didn't have to call him. He didn't have to call me. It was just to another means to an end, how it organically happened, and the conversation led to that. And the like I said, the vicinity wherein he was at was just conveniently just down the road from where I was. So everything worked out perfectly without me even devising the way how it is going to work out. All right. Let's play this final few minutes of the video, and then we're going to come back and close out today's lesson. All right. So we'll be right back momentarily.
More completely you live from the 5D reality you have claimed, the faster the 3D world conforms. But understand this. The moment you claim a reality in the 5D world, it is done. It is finished. It is already yours. The appearance in 3D is simply a matter of the denser, slower dimension catching up with the higher, faster dimension. Think of it like watching a video. When you select a video to watch, the entire video already exists on the tape, but your screen can only display it frame by frame, moment by moment. You are not creating the video as you watch it. The video is already complete. You are simply experiencing it in sequence. The same is true for your life. When you claim a reality in the 5D world, the entire reality already exists, complete and finished. Your 3D experience is simply playing it out, frame by frame, moment by moment. But it is already done the instant you claim it. Here is something profound to understand about the 5D world. Infinite versions of you already exist there. There is a version of you who is wealthy, a version who is poor, a version who is healthy, a version who is sick, a version who is loved, a version who is alone. All of these versions are real. All of them exist right now in the 5D world. The question is not which version will come into existence. The question is which version are you identifying with? Most people identify with the version of themselves that matches their current 3D circumstances. If they are poor in 3D, they identify with the poor version of themselves. If they are sick in 3D, they identify with the sick version. But you have the power to shift your identification at any moment. You can stop identifying with the version of you that matches your current circumstances and start identifying with the version of you that you wish to experience. When you identify with a new version of yourself in the 5D world, you literally become that version. Your consciousness shifts to that frequency. And when your consciousness shifts, your 3D experience must shift to match it. This is not about becoming someone you are not. This is about recognizing that all versions of you already exist and choosing which one you will be. Let me share with you the ultimate truth about this dimension of infinite possibilities. The truth that makes all of this not just possible but inevitable. This dimension is not somewhere else. It is not a place you travel to. This realm of infinite possibilities is what you are. You are not in this dimension. You are this dimension expressing as individual consciousness. All the infinite possibilities that exist here exist within you. You are the library containing every book. You are the radio containing every station. You are the consciousness in which all realities exist. When you claim a reality from this infinite dimension, you are not reaching outside yourself to grab something. You are recognizing what already exists within you and choosing to experience it. This is why assumption works. This is why consciousness creates reality. This is why you are the operant power. Because you are not a small being trying to manipulate a vast external universe. You are the infinite consciousness in which the entire universe exists, choosing which aspect of your infinite self you will experience. The 3D world is your self-expression. The 4D world is your creative workshop. This infinite dimension is your infinite being, and you have access to all three dimensions at all times. So what does it mean to live as an infinite being? It means you stop being a victim of 3D circumstances. It means you stop struggling to manifest in the 4D imagination. It means you recognize that everything already exists in this dimension of infinite possibilities. And your only job is to claim which reality you will experience. Living from infinite consciousness means you wake up each day knowing that today's reality is not imposed upon you. You are selecting it from infinite possibilities. Living from this awareness means you meet challenges not with fear, but with the knowledge that in this dimension the solution already exists. Living as infinite consciousness means you never ask, can this happen, but only which version of this do I choose to experience? This is your invitation. This is your birthright. This is the truth of what you are. You are not a 3D body struggling through time. You are not even a 4D imagination creating your world. You are infinite, being temporarily focused through the lens of individuality, selecting which of your infinite possibilities you will experience. Enter this dimension. Claim your reality. Live from infinite possibilities, and watch as your 3D world becomes a perfect reflection of the magnificent reality you have claimed from the dimension where everything already exists in perfect completion. Thank you and good evening as always. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the
All right. That was the end of the video. Wonderful video right there. Talking about, to basically forget or let go of the 3D or your 3D reality and assume, the wish fulfilled from the 5D reality by using the four-dimensional self, uh, the workshop, which is the bridge between the 3D self and the 5D self. Okay, that bridge in between, the middleman, as they would call it, um, that is organizing or orchestrating how you're going to get your desire. We had mentioned this before in another terminology, or not a different way, wherein we have the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. So the conscious mind is represented here by this three-dimensional world. That's where the conscious mind lives. Uh, you know, because to be conscious is to know, the mind of knowledge. You know what's going on, what you're experiencing. So it's the mind of knowledge. The subconscious is the mind that orchestrates, organizes, um, carries out the ways, means, the how, the when, the where. That's what this mind does. It's infinite, knows every different ways there is to carry out something that the conscious mind can never devise. The subconscious is impersonal, doesn't ask question, doesn't ask you why you're doing it, why you're asking it, why do you need it. It works by simply being impregnated, or works by feeling. You giving it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The subconscious communicates with the superconscious, the storehouse. It works by suggestion, like Sir T just said, auto suggestion, right? The subconscious goes to the father, the storehouse, where everything lives. Okay. And all the ways on how it is to be done lives within the storehouse. Every possible combination exists there. Okay. And the subconscious is that bridge or that gap that goes to the superconscious. The superconscious is the infinite, the all-knowing, everything exists. That is the self. It does not have anything in particular that it is. It just all that there is exists there. Okay? It's just pure awareness. And it is uh it is then projected through the subconscious onto the three dimension or the third dimension of space, where you have this limited or dialed down aspect of consciousness, so that you can have the experience. Okay. In other words, if you take a bottle of water, a bottle, and dip it into the ocean, you will fill that up with a portion of the ocean to drink. You understand? Um, but you cannot drink the entire ocean all at once. So, but you can do it limit by limit, little at a time. Okay, um, to your fulfillment, and that's what we're doing with the consciousness. We are bringing into being all these different or various things. Whether it be a computer, TV, cars, homes, experiences, um, all different type of circumstances. These are all coming from your higher self, the storehouse. Everything is coming from there. That is where you know all desires live, move, and have its being. But you need the conscious mind to choose those desires, to choose those um, experiences that you want to have. Ultimately, it is the self who desires to have the experience, but it limits itself to these other aspects of itself. And when it did that, scripture tells you that is going to let us create man. You understand? Which is the male and female aspect of consciousness, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. These are the two that was kicked out of heaven. Okay? It says the devil and one-third of the angels was thrown out of heaven. People take that literally. It's talking about the conscious and the subconscious mind. We just told you that the conscious mind, the ego, is the devil. You understand? That is the darkness of the consciousness. Okay? That needs redemption, right? By the light. Um, but the subconscious is its friend. The subconscious is what enables the conscious mind to have experiences, because the subconscious carries out all of the desires of the conscious mind. Okay? Whatever you decide to do and you impregnate your subconscious, the subconscious makes it happen. But that is the wife, the womb, that carries your desire, okay, to fruition. It's the womb of creation. And the conscious mind is the male or the husband who's the head of this particular makeup of consciousness, okay, and is necessary to carry out desires. But don't misconstrue that these are separated or separate gods or separate consciousness. No, these are just departments of the one consciousness, the superconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. That's all it really is. These are just departments of the one great I am. Okay? That's all it really is. So it's a multiplicity, or you can say dichotomy, wherein 1 minute the consciousness is being this, another minute the consciousness is being that, another minute is being this. It's just these different forms and different association within itself that it's playing. But because we are so caught up in this 3D world, as mentioned here, we should leave the 3D world behind in terms of thinking that the 3D world is all that there is, and that everything we see is fixed. It's just a projection. That's why we can change our current situation. We can turn something that is bad, so-called bad, into something that is great, and vice versa. We've done it many times because nothing is fixed when it comes to this world. Okay, it's just an appearance that it is, but it is not. And thankfully, it is not, because if it was fixed, we would be doomed to our plight. We would never be able to escape it or get out of it. You know what I mean? So this is the truth of the matter, that everything is like Certi fell off or something, that everything is in your hand in terms of you making the decision as to what it is that you desire to be, to do, and to have. All right. But just to reiterate, lastly, you know, um, never use that video analogy, that we are really just going through one frame at a time through this consciousness. The video is the consciousness itself, the infinite storehouse. But you're going through it by frames, frame by frame, a limited aspect. You cannot see the entire movie. Notice nobody has ever seen the whole movie one time. It's not possible. Nobody has ever seen a movie on one shot. Never seen it. Not even a picture. You understand? The entire movie has to be lived through. You have to go through it frame by frame to have the experience. Um, that is an exact demonstration of consciousness. It is something that is all knowing, all present, all powerful, but cannot express all of its um, infinite power or, or knowledge all at once. It's not possible. It has to be a consistent and constant flow, little by little, bit by bit, until you people your world with the consciousness. You know, to people your world just means to add little by little at a time until it adds up. That's why we're still experiencing things that were created 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, because these things are all these things came from consciousness. But as you can see, what came 40 years ago as advanced, we've had other levels of the same thing that come after it. Better levels of the iPhone, better levels of the Samsung TV or Samsung phone or whatever. It's just, a multiplicity of desires or ideas coming from the one source. You understand? But they cannot all come at the same time. We cannot all fill a room at the same time. We cannot all exit the room at the same time. I've never seen it yet. You understand? You got to go to one door at a time, but the place is going to get filled up and everybody comes out one at a time and the building is going to be empty. But you cannot go in and out all at the same time. And this is where people struggle with God, saying God is all knowing and can do anything. Yes and no. As Reverend Ike would say, yes and no. The yes is yeah. Everything is possible to God. The no is, but by a limited or limitation of itself at a time. Cannot do it all at once. It has to come in a flow. In this 3D world where we live, that's how it has to come. The only place everything exists is in the entirety of the consciousness itself. But in a physical aspect, in an experiential aspect, no. Can't happen. Will never happen. All right? That is where the consciousness is reduced to a limited aspect of itself in order to function. And it is a law within it. Okay? It knows. Nobody don't have to tell it or reprogram it. All these programs live within it, cannot be changed, cannot be altered. It is what it is. You can only abide by it. When we desire something, it's going to take some time to come. It's a law within the law. It's called a grace period. You don't want to order something that is bad and it come right away. Or you change your mind. If you order something and you realize, say, oh man, that wasn't what I wanted. Let me go back and cancel it. How many times have we done that? Right? It's the same thing. That's why nothing comes as soon as you order it. It is initiated immediately, but it doesn't come to you immediately. It gives you time to go back and edit, change, cancel, you name it. Okay? It's the same thing. As above, so below. As within, so without. We're operating outside of consciousness the same way things are within consciousness. It's a mirror. One side is just physical, one side is metaphysical, visible, invisible, seen, unseen. But it's the same thing. It's just the expression is different. That's what makes it seem, different or whatever. But I like that analogy about the video, the frame, identifying with a version of yourself that already exists right now. Everything exists right now. Any version of yourself already exists. You just have to identify with it. Okay? That's a key word. Identify. The word dent just means to come together with something. That's why I'm calling it something accident. It's two things meeting together. Okay. So you're identifying you becoming one with yourself, or a version of yourself that already exists, that is already alive and well right now in consciousness. This version of you that you're seeing is the physical version that you identified with. That's why you are living as you are now. But there are other versions of you. I'm not saying other faces in that sense. It's the same body, same face, but the versions of you are different. What versions could that be? A version of you that's living in Hawaii, a version of you that's living in Dubai, driving a Lamborghini, um, upgrading your kitchen, your bathroom, your house, making a lot more money. That's what I'm talking about in terms of version, not a different mask or a different uh, person per se, but just a different version, like a computer. Same Apple computer, just a different version, nothing to change. The same Apple, we just got a different version of it. That's what I'm talking about. It may look the same, but the operation is different. That's what we're talking about here. To live in the 5D world where all the version of you exist right now. And you just pick and choose. So we hope that that made sense. It's now 12:30. We're gonna close it out here. But we thank you guys for tuning in. And we hope that today's lesson made a lot of sense to you. I think Serti had to run for a little bit. But nonetheless, wonderful lesson as always. And we hope that you guys can make light of it with all the examples that were given, that I gave, Serti gave. Look within your own self and see how it is applicable going forward in anything that you guys are desiring to achieve or to attain. It already exists within the 5D world. Okay. One last thing, if you add the 5, the 4, and the 3, it gives you the number 12. If that add anything else to you. So everything right there is not by accident. Okay. Not by accident. Everything right there makes perfect sense when you put it all together. And 12 is a um, number that's used throughout the Bible all along, all the time, and it's a very divine number that is used to identify this heaven and earth makeup that we always talk about. 12 gates, pearly gates, 12 um, disciples, 12 tribes of Judah, all these different things, the 12 sons of Jacob. It's a very unique number that all these three dimensions add up to. Okay. So just to show you the how it correlates, all together, um, with all we've come to know thus far. All right. So that's it, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your week. And we will see you again next week, Sunday. Next week, Sunday is Easter, I believe. So let's see what we can come up with. All right. Love you guys. Stay blessed. Over and out.